I haven't been with this person in over 3 years, and no, there's no romantic involvement.
Mhm.
And I still care for this person and want to remain friends. Now I'm in a deeply committed relationship, and I'm feeling that I might not need to be connected so much with this friend, this previous relationship that I had. Um, but I still struggle with that. I care. Any advice on how to handle these past romantic relationships?
Yeah. Bless every soul that you have ever been romantically involved with, because they have given you many, many gifts. And oftentimes I think we see the negative side of some of these relationships. And I feel from you that you're seeing actually a lot of the positive sides, and you're wanting that relationship, but now that to stay, but now that you're in a committed relationship, like something's changed within you. And I think that that's natural and normal. And I think one of the things that we don't get taught is, how do we cherish other people that we love, but also have a conscious uncoupling and a conscious closure. And so I think, innately as humans, we want to hang on to love from other people, and we want to have contingency plans. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's exactly your situation. I'm not feeling that you want a contingency plan, but we do kind of hang on to these romantic partnerships because we have fond memories of them. And so I think there's a lot of times where we do have a conscious uncoupling. I know one of the practices that I have with all of my past relationships is to, number one, look at all the lessons that they came in to teach me, because I have a soul contract with any lover I've ever been with. And I want to get the lesson, and I want to grow from the lesson. So that would be number one. Number two, when you get really clear, like, this is not for you right now, but when you get really clear on, like, I think this soul contract is ending with this person, then have trust and transparency that you're saying, like, this is where I'm shifting to, so that it doesn't come as a surprise to the other person that, oh, geez, okay, wait, all of a sudden, like, you've shifted. So do that. And if you're now way beyond that, because I know you're 3 years out, if you haven't, or you didn't do something like that was really conscious about how you uncoupled yourself, then I would recommend that you do a little bit of work on your ethereal life cord. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's something we all have. And maybe an easy way to just sort of get into this idea of it is, when you're born, you are connected to your mother's umbilical cord. So it's not an umbilical cord, but it's a similar concept where you are attached to someone. So when we become intimate, when we give birth to a child, that child is wrapped around our ethereal life cord, our energy center. And so even with children, we often have to do, or with parents, we have to do an uncoupling of these energies. Because if we don't, we get these hooks. And a lot of times the hooks aren't really helping or serving our highest good, but we hang on to them because there's a safety, a security. So you want to find out, what is that safety, security that I'm trying to hang on to this person for? So I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's all going to come together here in a second. That if you are the mother of a child, a lot of times mothers hook on to their child's life cord because they come in with such beautiful innocence and pure love. And that we just want that. We just want to be with them on that. And we suck off of our children's life cords. We have to let that go. We have to find a conscious way to have this uncoupling so that our children can go out into the world and feel confidently and independently in love with themselves, not attached to, like, how we taught them love and all of these crazy ideas. They're not crazy, but I just mean crazy in that it's not true love. It's attachment. It's a way of feeling comfortable. It's a way of like, oh my God, then I'm not going to be alone in the universe, So we have to find these ways with our children. And I'm using that as an example because I think that it helps take off some of the the ideas that we have about romance, right? And romantic relationships, because ethereal life cords are ethereal life cords and we get hooked onto them. Our friends hook onto them. But when we're intimate with someone and we have sex with someone, that's where we get entangled. And I don't mean entangled from a negative. I just mean that sometimes if it's an entanglement, it's like hard to get out of. Okay, I know I went a little deep there, and I know your question was actually a little bit more like, just what do I do, right? Like, what do I do? And I brought all that forward because it is really part of all of you. And unless you go in there and realize, like, what are my safety hooks that I'm trying to hang on to? And when you let go of the safety hooks, then you just love that person for who they are and you just let them go do their life. You don't feel like you have to touch base with them. You don't feel like you have to make sure that they're okay. You don't have to, yeah, do all those things that you would do if you were still romantically involved with them. So you can still find ways to show them and demonstrate that you care, but not out of obligation. If it's obligation, then it's hooks. And so if you're in a deeply committed relationship now, you're feeling that, oh, wait, I don't need to have that safety net. I don't want to have that safety net. Like, I don't want to have that special connection with that other person because I have a connection with my person now. And I want to hold that as the sacred love that we share. And I don't want any of these, like, hooks coming in from other relationships. And it takes work, but it doesn't have to be miserable work. It doesn't have to be hard work. It just has to be really intentional work. And there's lots of ways that you can go about doing this. For time's sake, I won't go into all of them today, but there are lots of these in the Awakening and Healing Handbook on bethbell.me. So, or you can schedule a one-on-one session. I'm happy to go deeper into it. If you have specific questions, yeah, let me know. Is that each week? I am so happy to have you here. I love it when you tune in. I love it when you ask questions. I want to know, what is your state of the heart? I want to hear all of your heartbreak, your heartache, and anything that's weighing heavy on you that we can help transform, because we're here for bliss, not for suffering. And so each week at 11:11 Pacific time, please submit your question, show up live. And if you want more resources, you can always schedule a one-on-one session with me. I also do executive spiritual advising, and there's lots of resources on bethbell.me. The Awakening and Healing Handbook, lots of tips, tools, techniques that will help you. And there's also the Herpes Handbook. So whether you have herpes or not, there's juicy nuggets in there about viruses of the mind and also how to overcome shame, guilt, and heartache and heartbreak that the herpes virus can bring to lots of families and loved ones. All right, with that said, I can't wait to see you next week, 11:11 Pacific time. And until then, wishing you much bliss and joy on the journey. Namaste.